What comes to your mind when I say the words Messytails, the brown-nosed pup? If you've never heard the name before, you probably think it's some kind of children's television show maybe, full of happy woodland creatures, and at the end of every episode there's a moral lesson for the kids. As I say this, I'm picturing like Franklin or Blinky Bill. But those of you who know the name, you know this ain't no Blinky Bill. This ain't no Babar, this ain't no Tailspin. And if it was Messy Tailspin, Baloo would have turds just smeared all over his fur, caked in there, causing him to lose control and crash the plane. That's right, this is the story of the furry who ate so much poop that he might have died, whose current whereabouts are a tangled web of lies and misinformation. For this episode of Tales from the Internet, we take a look at Messytails, the brown-nosed pup. This video is very fittingly sponsored by a bar of soap, made by none other than Dr. Squatch. A lot of soaps have a little too much going on, and a lot of them will dry my skin out. Dr. Squatch keeps it simple with natural healthy ingredients that smell great and keep my skin feeling great. I was actually dying to try the pine tar scent as soon as it arrived, it smelled so good. That was my favorite so far, it's got me changing my shower game up, got rid of the body wash I was using before, and this is probably the best bar soap I've ever used. All of Dr. Squatch's soaps are made in the USA using the finest ingredients nature has to offer. Look at the label and you'll recognize everything in there. Compare it to a big soap label and see what you get. Hundreds of thousands of men already subscribe to Dr. Squatch, so fresh bars show up at their doors every month. If you want to join them, and I mean join them in having the soap, not literally join them in the shower, new customers can get 20% off orders over $20 when they go to drsquatch.com and enter code DSCWANG. Just click the link in my description below. Messytails, the brown-nosed pup, is probably one of the most infamous figures lurking beneath the surface of Twitter's seedy, furry underbelly. As he puts it, he's a big fat messy G-Shep, NSFW, and that squiggly line, if you don't know what that squiggly line is, that means he's into fucking actual animals. But he doesn't really talk about that, he just mostly talks about being fat and shitting himself. Oh, and of course eating the shit.
They eat the poo-poo!
So whenever I bring up Messytails, as one does, I usually hear one of two things. Either, oh, didn't that guy die? Or, hey, didn't that guy get institutionalized? We'll get into why people think these things later, but I'm not convinced either way. But in any case, let's start from the beginning. July 29th, 2013. That's when he made his first tweets. Today, for me, is Mud Butt Monday. I forgot to wipe. Forgot. I mean... Oh, you're too much. Now, this account, when somebody gets sent this, usually the big thing is, click the media section at your own risk. But it's actually several years before he even posts a single image. At first, it's mostly just him talking about the stuff that he liked to do. Like the time he fantasized about stealing some dog shit, sneaking it home with him, and then shoving it up his own ass. Pawing while thinking of finding fresh dog shit, sneaking it home in my pants, pushing it in me, licking my muddy paws while pushing it out. You know, it's like butt-chugging a beer, it gets in your system faster. Or how about the time he wanted to have himself a peanut butter and poop sandwich? I want to be force-fed meals made with my own mess. Peanut butter and poop sandwiches. Chocolate poop milkshakes? Poop donuts? A lot of this early phase of the account is mostly just relegated to fantasy. I mean, sure, he does talk a lot about doing things like shitting himself and then going to sleep without cleaning his shitty ass and then waking up with an itchy ass because he slept in his own shit, sure. But a lot of what he talks about is mostly just relegated to ideas and not necessarily actions. Looking at the early days of the account, I very much get the impression that this is a guy who gradually falls further and further into the world of this fetish until he finally becomes an absolute danger to himself. And part of why at first he can't really go all the way like he would want to is his living situation. He often talks about how rarely he has time alone in his home, and he savors the rare times he does have the place all to himself. I may have a chance to be messy tomorrow evening, but I want to try a diaper for the first time, but I don't know where to get one. Any store? I mean, yeah, pretty much, dude. Have you ever been to, like, any store? I'm pretty sure you can get a diaper at, like, 7 out of 10 stores that exist in the world. But he did like his shopping tips. Is there such a thing as a catheter for the butt? Something that forces it open all the time? I want to explore loss of control. To which someone suggested he could just go buy an open butt plug. And then there's the cooking tips. Does oatmeal mix with poop easy? I'm wondering.
Helps create that nice, almost dropping consistency.
But these are all just side quests. The main quest line of the Messytails Brown Nose Pup RPG, he needs to acquire 3 things. A car, a new place where he can live alone, and a fursuit. Oh, how he wanted his very own fursuit. I'm saving up for a fursuit. White German Shepherd. It won't stay white for long. You see, for all the talk about getting shit stuck in his fur, he didn't actually have a fursuit yet. Maybe at that point it was pure fantasy, maybe he was referring to his body hair as his fur, which I guess is a possibility. It's all up in the air, we're still many years into the pre-photography Messytails era. His car quest, he completes very early though, buying one in November of 2013, and having himself a nice, messy camping trip. Can you imagine walking through the woods and then you just happen to stumble upon this guy, rolling around in his own shit? Although he is careful to make sure not to get his car smelling like shit. I can respect that. You work hard, you save up for something, you buy it, and then you take good care of it by avoiding getting shit all over it. But the living situation was a bit more difficult. He would often tweet about how badly he needed to get his own place, because presumably he was hiding all this from whoever it was he was living with, whether it be roommates or family or whatever. And in April of 2014, he said that he was close to saving enough money to move out. But then a month later, disaster strikes. His department at work gets outsourced. Although he doesn't get laid off, the future is uncertain. And after this final lament in 2015, he disappears for close to a year. Nobody quite knows how he spent that year. Perhaps he took the opportunity to focus on his job and raise money for his new place. Perhaps he simply wasn't as motivated to post anymore. But a year is a lot of time to reflect on the kind of life you've been living. Then, on July 14th of 2016, I've not used this much. Think it's time to change that. It's unclear whether or not he actually got his own place during that absence, but one thing for sure, he did become emboldened. Warning, a couple messy photos coming soon. You may want to mute or unfollow me if that isn't okay. Now, I reviewed YouTube's terms of service in preparation for this video, and I'm still not entirely sure whether or not I can actually show you these photos. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you my best artist depiction of them. So you remember how Messytails, he had a third quest item aside from his car and his apartment. Fursuit. That shit's expensive, so he went and made his own paws. They kind of look like this, Muppet Elmo hands, but white. And holding a turd. And then he squeezes the turd and boom, now the white hands are brown. He's got his giant dog dick dildo lined up next to a full sausage shit for a size comparison, mashes the dildo up in the shit, and then he has a plastic baggie filled with a mix of shit and bad dragon cum lube. He then proceeds to quote unquote muzzle fuck himself with the shitty dog dick and licks it clean. It was a good meal. But he can never get it perfectly clean and he's fine with that. What he's not fine with? That shit baggie. That's just not enough shit for Messytails. You gotta upgrade to at least the gallon bag, but you know, one dog cannot produce a gallon's worth of shit. I don't know why I just called him a dog when he's not really a dog. It's like I've been gaslit by the brown-nosed pup now. So he thinks back to a thought he had all the way back in 2014. That's right, the poop oatmeal. He makes the shit oatmeal, and you can't help it.
I just want to dive in there.
He has himself a little feast and also shoves the rubber dog dick in and his stuffed dog animal's face in the shit. So what's the verdict on the oatmeal shit?
It's not good.
I really like how the poop oatmeal mix felt, but it didn't taste very good. Straight poop or poop lube is still the winner. So I guess the experiment failed. But by all accounts, Messytails had finally been living the life he had dreamed of since 2013. But these glory days were short-lived. Come the summer, things would change. Messy fantasy. Always being stuck in a situation where I can't stop myself from being covered in shit every moment of my life. Having a bad, greasy, fatty diet. Being completely incontinent. Not being able to realize or care when I've gotten shit on my paws. A constant ooze of shit, squeezing out into my leg and underside of my tail fur, dripping off in globs, paw print shit smears marking my path. It's hard to imagine how strong your smell is when you can never stop leaking shit on everything around you. Or how much it stinks, because the shit that is sliding out from my tail hole today was the fast food and shit I ate all day yesterday. Anything that doesn't get clumsily smeared somewhere or stuck in an unreachable patch of fur will be eaten and turned into tomorrow's shit. After posting this fantasy, he would disappear for 2 months. It appears that at this point, somebody, perhaps family, intervened. Something he alluded to when he returned. Hee, they could put me in a hospital and make me take pills, but now I'm home, and nobody can stop me from covering myself in shit. And deeper we go. I need to find a way to become psychologically, irreversibly addicted to shit. If I were big and fat enough, I would eat entire used diapers. And he would only make 2 more posts after this. A few months later in November, can't stop eating poop, which has powerful, itchy, tasty energy, as if his addiction to shit had overcome all of his other senses. It was all he could verbalize, like a zombie that hungers for flesh. And then, on January 12th, 2018, his very last post. Things have been rough lately. I'm going to be okay, but it might take a while. I hope you're all doing well and staying messy. Touching final words. But at this time, he was still mostly flying under the radar. Although I'm sure those who did see this took this to heart and did in fact stay messy, not a lot of people were watching him. It was a small community. It wouldn't be until a year later that the legend of Messytails would spread all around the rest of the internet and enter the greater online consciousness, going viral for his escapades several times over on every platform, with people trying to get people to click on his media tab. And it was around this time that someone would emerge claiming to know what happened. Unfortunately, Brown Nose Pup, otherwise known as Eric, has died due to overconsumption of feces and lack of nutrients due to the consumption of feces, and died of the shock of eating feces. Is this a joke, or did he legitimately die? I'm serious. Where did you hear it? We were friends in high school. He had an interest in eating shit back when we were freshmen. And this tiny series of tweets right here is why when he gets brought up, people are like, hey, didn't that guy die? But to me, this doesn't add up at all. There's a few reasons. For starters, I'm not sure that you actually can die from eating your own shit. In fact, I googled it. Can you die from eating your own shit? According to the Illinois Poison Center, eating poop is minimally toxic. However, poop naturally contains the bacteria commonly found in the intestines. While these bacteria don't harm you when they're in your intestines, they're not meant to be ingested in your mouth. And then there was another article from Gawker interviewing several professors and scientists on the topic, and it also came to the conclusion that you probably shouldn't, but it won't kill you. That being said, I'm not a doctor, so don't go out and be like, hey, Wang said it was okay, so I'm gonna go eat my own shit. I'm not trying to get a call from Chubby Emu who's like, hey, do you want to act as one of your viewers who died from eating poo? Although if you need me to tell you that, I'm not sure that you can be convinced. Another thing that doesn't add up, why would his high school friend even know this? Obviously, this guy went to great lengths to conceal what he was doing from the people around him. And nothing he posted would have identified him as Eric that this guy went to high school with. I even tried to look for clues through his posting history, interactions, Twitter likes, but there's nothing but fat bellies, little dicks, and shitty diapers. Oh, and this one picture of a brownie someone made. I sincerely doubt that he went around to old high school friends saying, hey, you know that I have an account on Twitter where I'm a furry and I talk about eating my own shit. Perhaps there was a shit-eating Eric out there somewhere who did die, but all signs point to this guy just making shit up. And in any case, the account is now suspended, so anything else they might have posted about it is gone. I did come across someone who might be the person behind the post, but I'm not sure and they haven't responded to me, so. The very day after this person claimed that Messytails died, another tweet from another account came out. Now from an account called Brown Nose Pup at Messytails with the L as a capital I, Messytails. No, I wasn't dead. I was in a mental institution. So now we have this guy that's claiming to be the original Messytails on a new account, not dead, still alive. He claimed that he had somehow lost access to the original account and wished he'd be able to delete it altogether. Throughout the next few weeks, he would occasionally answer a few questions about the account. He said the person with the shit-eating Eric story was a liar, and also that he had managed to completely get rid of the shit-eating fetish. Another person asked if he was interested in doing an AMA for r/Yif in Hell, but he declined, adding that he would eventually tell the full story of what happened the previous year, but not yet. Some people were reasonably skeptical, but others thought it was the real deal. Some of the skepticism came from people doubting the story that he managed to lose access to the old Twitter account. The thing about that is, I've actually seen that happen to people a few times. In fact, I think that's how Leafy originally lost access to his verified Twitter. That being said, I'm still not convinced. There's just no evidence that this is him, and it just so happened to emerge at the same time that people's interest in the account peaked. It's the kind of thing that's ripe for some kind of attention seeker to just jump in there and be like, hey, I'm the guy. That being said, without being able to access the original account, I don't necessarily know if there is a way for him to prove his identity. So it very well could be him. So right now I'm in the middle of editing this video and I just noticed a piece of evidence that I think points to the fact that the second Messytails is an imposter. So I noticed in this tweet from the second Messytails account that he spells humor with a U, implying that he's British, Canadian. I think Australians also spell it that way. So I went back to the original account and I looked for words that would be spelled that way. And I found one tweet containing the word favorite spelled the American way. There's a lot of explanations for why that could be, but to me, this is a piece of evidence that says that this account is an imposter. In any case, it would have been interesting to see this person try to explain what happened to Messytails in 2018, as they said they would eventually do. But it appears that the account has been abandoned without this ever being addressed, with one last tweet in July of 2019 asking, "How's everyone going?" So I think the fate of this person is something that's just going to be shrouded in mystery for the rest of time. I don't know, what do you guys think? Did he live? Did he die? Is Messytails really him, or is that a liar? You let me know, but for now, that's all for the Messytails story. If you like this video, check out my video about 2 Girls 1 Cup. Till next time, stay messy.